We continue now with our theme of highlights from Talkback, and this is installment 35. In our last installment, installment 34, we discussed the triple tap with 3 fingers to read from next item. Today, I'll be demonstrating this on my Pixel 4 running Android 12 and Talkback 12.2 and utilizing the Google Speech Services as my TTS engine. I will now, using 3 fingers, tap on my screen and activate that Talkback menu. So in other words, if you have a phone that has Android 12 or later and have Talkback 12.1 or even Talkback 12.x, you can activate the Talkback menu by simply tapping on the screen with 3 fingers. If you do not have a phone that supports this, however, you can still use the classic activation of the Talkback menu by drawing a line downwards and curving to the right to activate the Talkback menu. I'll now tap with 3 fingers to activate Talkback menu.
Android Accessibility Suite. Talkback menu.
I am now on my Talkback menu. The next item that we're looking for here is the Talkback settings, and that's found toward the bottom. And I do want to mention here in passing that the menus will be the same whether you have Talkback 12.1 or Talkback 12.2. However, with the new introduction in Talkback 12.2, you have that image description toward the bottom of the menu. In this case, however, I'm tapping on Talkback settings.
Talkback settings.
Here is my Talkback settings. I'll tap here to activate.
Talkback settings. Navigate up, button, out of list.
I am now in the Talkback settings, and if you've been following me in this series of the highlights from Talkback, this is where we'll scroll down the page, and usually we scroll down pages, whether it's in this Talkback settings menu or wherever you are, and if it's a vertical page, you put down 2 fingers in the middle of the font, then gliding those fingers upwards scrolls down your page. Now, doing the opposite, that is gliding your fingers downward, that scrolls the page back to the top. I'll now put my fingers in the middle of the font and scroll my fingers or glide my fingers upward, and thus scrolling the page down. And what I'm looking for is an item that says Customize Gestures. Now I'll scroll the page down. I have scrolled the page down and now put my finger down and find and tap on Customize Gestures.
Customize gestures.
Here is my Customize Gestures. I'll tap here to activate.
Customize gestures, out of list.
I am now on the customization page of the gestures. And here I suggest that we now change our granularity to the headings granularity so that we'll quickly move to the 2-finger heading. And the way we go about changing our granularity, as I've indicated several times during this series, is that we have 1 or 3 methods of changing those granularities. My preferred, of course, is the scrubbing with 1 finger up and down to change my granularity. However, you may prefer swiping down with 3 fingers or swiping from left to right or right to left with 3 fingers to change those granularities. I will now activate my preferred method of scrubbing up and down with 1 finger to change and go through my granularities, and I'm looking for headings granularity.
Spoken language.
Spoken language.
Speech rate. Windows. Links. Controls. Headings.
Here is my headings. I am now sitting on the headings granularity, and now to move through the different headings that we have here, all we need to do now is to swipe down with 1 finger at a time until we reach the particular heading we're after. I'll now swipe down with 1 finger and pay attention as we go along.
1 finger, heading, in list.
I swipe down and it says 1 finger, and I swipe down again.
1 finger back and forth, heading.
1 finger back and forth, heading. Swipe down.
1 finger angle, heading.
We are down to the 1 finger angle. Swipe down 1 more time.
2 fingers, heading.
2 fingers, heading, and this is where we need to be. And as I indicated at the beginning, though, that the last time what we saw was the triple tapping with 2 fingers to activate the read from next item, which will do a continuous read from that next item. Today, however, we're looking at triple tap and hold. In other words, you tap 3 times with 2 fingers and then holding it. That triple tapping and holding does what we call muting talkback. However, that's not the word that it is used here. It is, however, says stop or start speech. I'll move down there so you'll hear what I'm talking about.
Triple tap and hold with 2 fingers, turn speech on or off.
We heard triple tap and hold with 2 fingers, turn speech on or off. In other words, that's how you go about muting talkback. What this does is that it mutes talkback but does not unload talkback. So in other words, if you want to read something in Braille and you want to mute your talkback so that you're not hearing talkback while you're using your Braille device, then you may want to mute your talkback. And the way we do that is to triple tap with 2 fingers and hold. And that will mute it. And when we do that again, it will toggle speech back on. I will now triple tap and hold with 2 fingers to show you what I'm talking about.
Spoken feedback is off.
I heard spoken feedback is off. I'll triple tap and hold again with 2 fingers.
Spoken feedback is on.
Spoken feedback is on. Now, if you don't like that, though, here's the good thing about Android is that you can change some of these things. And so, for example, let's say I do not like using the triple tap and holding with 2 fingers to mute and unmute talkback. I could tap here where it says
Triple tap and hold with 2 fingers, turn speech on or off.
If I tap there and I want to change it, for example, I'm not going to change mine, but I'll show you what I'm talking about just in case you prefer to use a different gesture for it. It's all up to you. I'll tap here and see what it affords us to do by the way of customization.
Android Accessibility Suite. Triple tap and hold with 2 fingers, out of list.
So in reality, if you're going to change it, I probably would just change it to maybe like the tap or whatever. But in reality, if that is conflicting with something, then it's best to just leave it to the triple tap and hold with 2 fingers. Or you could even go change one of those 3-finger gestures to this if that's what you want. In other words, if I didn't want this to be the one that I use in muting my talkback, for example, I could go choose one of the 4-finger gestures and assign it to it.
Triple tap with 4 fingers, tap to assign.
So for example, let's say I decide to use a 4-finger triple tap instead. I don't know why anyone would want to do that, which one is easier, but if you want that, you prefer that, you could tap this one and go choose to mute talkback using the triple tapping with 4 fingers to mute and unmute talkback. I'll show you what I'm talking about before we close.
Android Accessibility Suite.
So I tap there and it places me on the things that I could reassign to the triple tapping with 4 fingers. And let's see if the muting of talkback is here. And now we're on this page. If I want to reassign that 4-finger to my muting and unmuting talkback, of course, then you need to go to the reading heading. So for instance, if I swipe down until I get to the reading heading.
Basic navigation, heading. System actions, heading. Reading, heading.
And here I am under the reading heading. And underneath this, I'll find where it talks about muting or unmuting talkback. And that's stop and start speech.
Read from top.
We hear read from top. That's not what I want. I'm going to scroll down.
Read from next item. Pause or resume speech. Turn speech on or off.
And here is turn speech on or off. That's the one that will happen. If I tap here, it will reassign that gesture to my 4-finger triple tap. And that's what we have in the way of the muting and unmuting talkback.